You know, everyone's careful about what they bring into their homes. Clean floors, locked doors, fresh air, good vibes. But what they forget is the filth they carry inside themselves. The kind that doesn't wash off. The kind that smiles while it poisons everything around them. It's not the dirt on your shoes that ruins a place. It's the bitterness, the envy, the fake kindness you let walk through your front door. People think danger wears a mask, but most of the time, it walks in smiling, sits at your table, and calls itself a friend. Energy carries farther than words ever will. People think silence means peace, but silence can hide storms. You can walk into a room, say nothing, and still feel the tension hanging in the air like smoke after a fire. That's energy. It lingers. It spreads. It infects. Words might fool people, but energy never lies. You can dress up, smile, shake hands, act polite, but if your energy's rotten, it seeps through every crack. People feel it even when they can't explain it. That's why some folks make a room colder just by walking in, while others light it up without saying a thing. Most people don't realize how contagious they are. They carry their moods, their bitterness, their anger, like invisible dust. They dump it everywhere they go. On your walls, your couch, your peace. You let them in because you think you're being kind, being social, being understanding. But what you're really doing is inviting chaos into your sanctuary. You clean your dishes, sweep your floors, spray your air fresheners, but you never cleanse your energy. You never notice how heavy your home feels after certain people leave. You never question why you suddenly feel drained, restless, irritated for no reason. That's because energy doesn't need permission. It just travels. You ever meet someone who talks nice, compliments you, acts sweet, but when they leave, you feel smaller? That's not conversation, that's consumption. Some people don't talk to connect. They talk to drain. They don't visit to share joy. They come to offload their misery. They wrap it in small talk, in laughter, in fake interest, but underneath it all, they're bleeding, and they want you to bleed too. Misery doesn't like company. It needs it, because it can't survive alone. That's why you have to be careful who you let into your space. A person's energy is like perfume. Once it's in the air, you can't ignore it. But unlike perfume, not all of it smells good. Some of it's toxic, suffocating, invisible poison that clings to your thoughts long after they're gone. You start thinking their thoughts, doubting your blessings, replaying their negativity. They leave, but their energy stays behind, pacing your halls like a ghost. And you call it just a bad mood. It's not. It's residue. Energy is more honest than words, because it can't fake tone or expression. A person can smile at you and hate you at the same time. They can call you friend, while secretly resenting you. But their energy will always betray them. It'll slip through the cracks of their politeness. That's why your gut always knows before your mind does. You feel the warning, but you ignore it. You tell yourself you're overreacting, being paranoid, too sensitive. But your spirit is never wrong. It just gets silenced by logic. Some people bring storms with them. Their presence stirs the air, shifts the temperature, breaks the calm. They walk in with anger, jealousy, comparison, and suddenly everything feels off. You feel it, but you pretend it's nothing, because you don't want to seem rude or cold, so you let them stay. You smile, you host, you play along. But deep down, something in you starts to shrink. That's the cost of politeness. You trade your peace for their comfort. And it's not always strangers. Sometimes it's the ones closest to you. The ones who claim to love you, but secretly resent your light. They'll visit, hug you, say, "I'm proud of you," but their energy says, "Why you, not me?" You'll sense it, that flicker of cold behind the warmth. But you'll laugh it off, because it's easier to pretend. That's how people lose their peace, by letting guilt talk them into hospitality. Energy moves faster than words. It doesn't need sound to communicate. It's in the eyes, the tone, the pause before a compliment, the forced smile after your success. You can't hide it, and you can't fight it. You can only decide what you let near you. That's where people go wrong. They think protecting their peace means cutting off arguments, not realizing it starts way before that. It starts with paying attention to how people make you feel, not just what they say. Your home should be a reflection of your inner calm, not a collection of other people's chaos. You can't heal in a space filled with borrowed pain. You can't grow where someone's resentment lingers. But the problem is, most people don't believe in energy until it breaks them. They don't understand how something invisible can destroy something sacred. But that's the thing about energy. It doesn't need to be seen to be real. It just needs to be felt. You can tell who carries peace and who carries poison by how your soul reacts. Some people enter your space and you breathe easier. Others enter, and you suddenly remember every problem you thought you'd let go of. That's not coincidence. It's connection. They bring what they carry, and if you're not careful, they'll leave it with you. Then you'll find yourself fighting battles that were never yours, feeling emotions that didn't belong to you, losing sleep over shadows that came from someone else's storm. Energy travels, it attaches, it transforms spaces, and once it finds a home, it doesn't leave easily. That's why awareness is protection. That's why silence is sacred. Because when you learn to read energy, you stop explaining yourself, stop forcing connections, stop letting people walk into your home with chaos disguised as charm. You stop cleaning up messes that aren't yours. You start protecting your peace like it's gold, because it is. Not everyone deserves access to your peace. You see, peace isn't just quiet, it's power. It's the rare kind of silence that doesn't mean weakness, it means control. It's when you can sit in chaos and still hear your own heartbeat steady. But the problem is, people think peace is something they owe others. They hand it out like candy to anyone who smiles at them, anyone who pretends to care, anyone who says the right words. They don't realize peace is sacred. It's not a gift for everyone. It's protection for yourself. You ever notice how some people don't come to you for conversation? They come for extraction. They don't want your time, they want your energy. They want to dump their pain, their anger, their confusion onto you so they can walk away lighter while you carry what's left. And because you're kind, you let them. Because you think helping means listening, even when listening starts to drain your soul. You confuse being understanding with being available. But there's a difference. Understanding comes from strength. Availability comes from guilt. And guilt is how people sneak into your peace and make it theirs. Peace isn't built by avoiding noise. It's built by choosing silence. By learning when to shut the door, not because you hate what's outside, but because you love what's inside. Not everyone deserves that access. Not everyone should get to sit in your calm when they only bring chaos. You can't let people use your spirit as their recovery room. They'll keep coming back for more, until you forget what peace even feels like. And the worst part, they'll still call you selfish when you finally stop letting them in. People don't realize how entitled they've become to other people's peace. They think because they're family, or old friends, or coworkers, that they have a right to unload on you anytime. They don't care what you're carrying. They just want somewhere to put their mess. But peace doesn't mean becoming everyone's dumping ground. Peace means boundaries. And boundaries always offend those who benefit from your lack of them. When you start protecting your space, people will call you cold, distant, arrogant. But they'll never admit that what they really miss is your silence. The silence that made their chaos bearable. You can't heal in a house that's open to everyone. Every knock, every call, every message, each one pulls a piece of you away. Some people don't even realize they drain you. They're not bad. They're just broken. But broken people, when left unchecked, will break anything they touch, including you. And if you keep trying to save everyone, you'll start drowning in problems that aren't even yours. That's not compassion. That's self-destruction disguised as love. Peace demands protection. It's not built through words. It's maintained through distance. You can't argue with chaos and expect calm. You can't convince noise to be quiet. You have to cut access, lock the door, walk away. Because the same people who disturb your peace will never take responsibility for it. They'll make you feel guilty for leaving, but they'll never thank you for staying. That's how emotional thieves work. They make you feel like you owe them peace while they steal yours. You ever notice how peaceful people attract chaos? Like light attracts moths. It's not because they're weak. It's because their calm exposes the storms in others. People who can't handle their own silence come looking for yours to drown in. They'll test your limits, poke your patience, push your buttons. Not because they hate you, but because they hate how you're unbothered. Your peace reminds them of what they've lost. And instead of learning from it, they want to ruin it. Because misery doesn't like mirrors. It likes company. You can't give everyone access and still expect peace to survive. You have to learn the art of selective connection. Who gets your time? Who gets your energy? Who gets your silence? It all matters. Some people should only have your smile, not your story. Your hello, not your hours. Your kindness, not your closeness. Because the closer they get, the more they take. Peace is a garden. Too many visitors trample the flowers. And don't mistake loneliness for peace's price. People will leave when you stop letting them use you. That's normal. They were never there for you. They were there for what you gave them. And when you stop giving, they'll call it betrayal. Let them. You don't owe explanations for protecting what keeps you sane. The ones meant for you will never make you choose between your peace and their presence. They'll fit into your calm, not fight it. Peace is a kind of power most people will never understand because they're addicted to noise. They can't sit still. They can't face silence without distraction. But you learn to love it. You learn that your peace is not negotiable. It's the difference between reacting and thinking, between surviving and living. You start to notice that life feels lighter when you stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Not everyone deserves to sit at your table. Some people only come to spill what they can't hold. Some come to eat what they didn't earn. Some come just to see what's on your plate. But when peace becomes your priority, you start closing chairs. You stop feeding what doesn't feed you. You start seeing that peace isn't about isolation. It's about insulation. You don't cut people off because you hate them. You do it because you finally love yourself enough to stop letting them walk barefoot across your mind. Hidden intentions destroy quiet places. It's never the loud ones you need to fear. It's the quiet ones who smile too long, listen too closely, agree too easily. They come carrying calm, but it's borrowed. They come speaking peace, but it's rehearsed. And you won't notice at first, because poison never introduces itself. It blends in, moves soft, waits for the right moment to strike. That's how hidden intentions work. They don't knock down your walls, they study them. They find the cracks, and when they finally step inside, they don't bring chaos immediately. They make themselves comfortable first. The world's full of actors. People who pretend to support you while secretly studying how to outshine you. People who pretend to care while counting your weaknesses like coins. They'll sit across from you, nod while you talk, laugh when you laugh. But in their silence, they're measuring. They're deciding what part of you they can use. You think you're sharing your heart, but you're feeding their strategy. And when the time comes, they'll twist your words, copy your ideas, mimic your moves, and call it coincidence. That's how quiet spaces get corrupted, not by noise, but by deceit disguised as loyalty. You ever invite someone into your peace, thinking they'd add to it, only to realize they were jealous of it the whole time? That's the danger of hidden intentions. They don't want what you have. They want to make sure you can't have it anymore. They won't take it outright. They'll drain it, piece by piece, until you start questioning yourself. That's how betrayal works. It doesn't come from strangers. It comes from the ones who clapped for you while secretly hoping you'd fall. The quiet ones, the kind ones, the ones who never seem to argue. They're not always innocent. Some people don't fight because they've already decided how to hurt you. They'll wait, play patient, collect information, act harmless. Then one day, when you're comfortable, they strike. And the worst part, you won't even see it coming, because you trained yourself to see danger in loudness, not silence. You thought betrayal came with anger, not a smile. People with hidden intentions don't break peace with chaos. They break it with charm. They know how to talk, how to compliment, how to make you feel seen. They disarm you with kindness. You start to trust them, to open up, to believe they're different. That's when they start taking. Not in big ways, just small ones. A little of your energy here, a little of your confidence there. You won't notice the loss until you start feeling empty. You'll think it's burnout, stress, bad luck. But it's them. They've been feeding on your calm. They'll say things that sound supportive, but are laced with envy. You're lucky. You always get things easy. I wish I had your life. It sounds harmless, but underneath it is bitterness. They don't wish to have what you have. They wish you didn't have it. And that envy doesn't stay hidden forever. It leaks out slowly, like a gas you can't smell until you're choking on it. That's why you have to watch the small signs. The off energy when you succeed. The silence when you celebrate. The subtle change in tone when you talk about something good. Hidden intentions don't always speak. They reveal themselves in what's not said. There's a strange kind of peace that comes right before betrayal. A calm so still it feels wrong. That's because the storm isn't outside. It's already inside. You just haven't seen it yet. They'll smile wider, act sweeter, be more helpful than ever, because guilt always overcompensates before it acts. They think they're being clever, but your spirit always knows. You'll feel it in your stomach, in that sudden heaviness when they walk in the way your body tenses for no reason. That's intuition. It's not paranoia, it's protection. But people ignore it. They tell themselves, no, not them. And that's how the knife gets closer. Hidden intentions don't need words to destroy. They use presence. They disturb your peace without saying a thing. You'll start second, guessing yourself, feeling uneasy around them. But you'll keep trying to rationalize it. You'll think you're imagining things. You're not. Energy doesn't lie. You just don't want to believe someone you care about could carry that kind of darkness. But that's how darkness survives. It hides behind love, behind loyalty, behind, I'd never do that to you. You can't control people's intentions, but you can control their access. Not everyone deserves a seat in your quiet. Some people only come to take notes. They don't want to join your peace. They want to study it, copy it, ruin it. They can't stand that you found stillness in a world that thrives on noise. So they enter it, not to learn, but to disrupt. And the moment you let your guard down, they get what they came for. The scariest part about hidden intentions is that they always wear familiarity. They look like trust, sound like love, feel like home. But if you pay attention, you'll notice the cracks. Real peace never demands your silence. It respects it. Real loyalty never competes with your light. It protects it. Hidden intentions, though. They smile while they take. They praise while they plot. They blend in until they break everything sacred. And when they're done, they'll act like they did nothing at all. Because to them, your peace was never a gift. It was a challenge. Familiar faces can hold unfamiliar darkness. That's the part people never want to believe. That sometimes the ones you trust the most are the ones who'll hurt you deepest. It's easy to guard yourself against strangers. It's harder to see danger in someone who knows your laugh, your stories, your scars. You drop your defenses because you recognize their face, their voice, their touch. But you forget. Time doesn't make someone pure, and history doesn't make them safe. Sometimes the monster doesn't sneak in through the window. It's been sitting at your table the whole time. It's strange how people can share memories with you while secretly carrying envy, resentment, or spite. You think they're proud of you, that they're happy for your growth, but somewhere inside, something in them twists whenever you rise. They remember when you were smaller, weaker, more dependent. They liked you better when you needed them. Because your strength reminds them of everything they're not. They'll never say it, of course. They'll still call you friend, still hug you, still smile, but the warmth will start to feel forced. And deep down, you'll know something's changed, even if you can't name it. Darkness doesn't always come wearing a mask. It wears familiarity. It uses your trust like a weapon. The people closest to you know where to aim. They know your insecurities, your fears, your soft spots. And when they decide to hurt you, it's not random. It's surgical. They don't need to scream. Don't need to hit. Don't need to betray loudly. All they need is a quiet word, a little doubt planted at the right moment, a small withdrawal of support when you need it most. That's how familiar darkness operates. Not with explosions, but with erosion. It wears you down slowly until you start blaming yourself. You'll tell yourself they didn't mean it. You'll justify their silence, their coldness, their passive jabs. You'll say, they're just stressed, or they're going through something. Because believing that they've changed feels worse than losing them. But one day, you'll wake up and realize you've been protecting a ghost. The person you thought they were doesn't exist anymore. Or maybe they never did. Maybe you only saw what you wanted to see. That's the trick familiarity plays. It blinds you. You stop paying attention because you assume you already know them, but people evolve. And sometimes that evolution grows darker. Some of the worst energy in your life doesn't come from enemies. It comes from those who call you family. Because jealousy doesn't always look like hate. Sometimes it looks like, I'm just joking. Sometimes it hides behind advice that sounds wise, but feels wrong. They'll tell you to be careful, to slow down, to think twice. But what they're really saying is, stop shining so bright. It's making me uncomfortable. They'll smile through gritted teeth, say congratulations through envy, and you'll feel it even if they hide it well. The dangerous part is, their darkness doesn't announce itself. It creeps in through comfort. You'll keep giving them chances because of shared history. You'll keep letting them in because of what they have used to be. But familiarity creates blindness. You stop testing intentions because you assume love is enough. It's not. Love without boundaries becomes an invitation for betrayal. You can't keep letting people in just because you've known them forever. Time doesn't earn trust. Truth does. It's hard to accept that the ones you defend are sometimes the ones who secretly hope you fail. They won't attack you directly. No. They'll just plant doubt. They'll compare you subtly, make you question your choices, mock your dreams with a laugh that sounds harmless but feels sharp. And they'll do it in a way that makes you look paranoid if you call it out. That's the beauty of familiar darkness. It hides behind innocence. They'll say, "You're taking it the wrong way," or "I was just trying to help." But your gut knows. It always knows. Familiar darkness thrives in your forgiveness. It counts on you remembering the good times. It knows you'll hesitate before walking away. It knows you'll cling to the version of them that doesn't exist anymore. And while you're stuck remembering who they were, they keep taking pieces of who you are. You'll feel smaller, more cautious, more drained, but you'll still call it love. That's how it wins. It convinces you that being loyal means tolerating harm. You have to understand, darkness doesn't always come to destroy you violently. Sometimes it comes to stay, to blend, to get comfortable. It learns your patterns, your weaknesses, your soft spots. It smiles at you every morning and tells you it cares. And because it's familiar, you never question it. You confuse comfort with safety. But comfort isn't safety. It's sedation. It dulls your instincts until you can't tell the difference between loyalty and manipulation. There's something cruel about discovering that the hands you trusted were the same ones that pushed you down. It makes you question everyone, even yourself. But that's what familiar darkness does. It teaches you caution through pain. It reminds you that not everyone clapping for you wants you to keep winning. Some clap just to blend in with the crowd. Some love you just enough to stay close, but not enough to be honest. The scariest part is, they'll always justify themselves. They'll say you changed, that you got distant, that you became cold. They'll play the victim so well that you'll start to wonder if they're right. But deep down, you'll remember how your peace started fading the moment they stepped closer. That's not coincidence. That's energy. Familiar darkness hides behind connection. It uses closeness as camouflage. And the longer you ignore it, the deeper it roots itself into your life, until one day, your peace isn't yours anymore. It's been shared, stolen, and replaced with silence that doesn't feel calm. It feels haunted. Protect your space like your sanity depends on it. Because it does. People think protection means keeping out thieves, locking doors, setting alarms. No, no, no. The real danger doesn't need to break in. It gets invited. It walks through your front door with a smile, maybe even a gift, sits down, and starts feeding off your peace like it's dessert. You don't notice it at first. You ever notice how people talk about fate like it's a choice? Like they can outthink it, outrun it, outplan it. They build their little walls, make their little rules, trying to keep control of something they never had in the first place. But when something's meant to happen, really meant, it moves through everything. You can fight it, deny it, laugh at it, but it doesn't care. It's not asking for your permission. It's not waiting for your timing. It's already in motion. And the funny part, the harder you resist it, the faster it catches you. Because when something bigger than you decides to move, it doesn't stop just because you're afraid. Fate doesn't wait for permission. It doesn't knock politely. It doesn't ask if you're ready. It doesn't care about your plans. It comes when it comes, and when it does, it doesn't whisper. It crashes through everything you thought was solid. People like to think they're in control, that they're calling the shots, steering their own destiny. They make schedules, vision boards, life plans. They think if they follow all the rules, they can predict the future. But fate doesn't follow rules. It doesn't read your plans. It laughs at them. Because no matter how much you try to control life, there's always something waiting that you didn't see coming. You can delay it, maybe. Distract yourself. Try to run the other way. But fate doesn't chase. It knows where you'll end up. It's patient, cruelly patient. It watches you build your illusions of safety, lets you believe you've escaped, and then it moves. And when it moves, it's unstoppable. Because fate doesn't ask if the timing's right or if you feel strong enough to handle it. It just happens. And you either rise to meet it or get crushed trying to avoid it. The problem is, people confuse control with power. They think having a plan means having strength. But true power isn't in controlling fate. It's in facing it. It's in looking at what's coming and not blinking. Because life isn't fair, and it's not supposed to be. Fate isn't good or bad. It's just truth in motion. It doesn't care about what you think you deserve. It's not punishment. It's not reward. It's simply what must happen. You can scream at it, pray for it, run from it. But it doesn't change a thing. It's already written, and your name's already on it. People waste so much time begging fate to go easy on them, as if it listens. They think their pain means they're being targeted, that the universe is cruel. But maybe it's not cruelty. Maybe it's correction. Maybe fate tears down what isn't real so you can finally see what is. Maybe all the chaos is the universe's way of forcing you onto the path you were meant to walk. You don't have to like it, but you do have to face it. Because whether you stand tall or crawl through it, fate will keep moving forward. It doesn't pause for fear. You ever see how people react when life hits them out of nowhere? First, they deny it. Then they get angry. Then they break. But after that, something shifts. The ones who stop fighting it, who accept it, they start to change. They stop asking, "Why me?" and start saying, What now? And that's where real growth begins. Fate doesn't come to destroy you. It comes to reveal you. It strips away everything that isn't strong enough to last. Everything fake, everything borrowed. It leaves you with what's real, yourself. Raw, scarred, and still breathing. The funny part is, the moment you stop asking for fate's permission and start trusting its process, you realize it was never against you. It was always pushing you towards something. Something you couldn't have seen if you'd stayed comfortable. People call it destiny, divine timing, karma. It doesn't matter what name you give it. It's that unseen force that refuses to let you stay small. It doesn't wait for your courage to catch up. It drags you into moments you're not ready for, because it knows you'll never be ready until you're there. Fate doesn't negotiate. It doesn't take requests. It doesn't give warnings. It acts. And when it does, the question isn't, why now? It's, what will you do now? You can stand still and get run over. Or you can move with it, learn from it, let it shape you. People who fight fate spend their whole lives exhausted, bitter, always wondering why things never go their way. But those who surrender, not in defeat, but in acceptance, they learn to flow with it. They use it. They understand that when fate closes one door, it's not rejection, it's redirection. Every time fate shows up, it reveals how powerless we really are and how powerful we can become if we stop resisting. It's in the heartbreaks, the failures, the sudden turns you never saw coming. Those aren't coincidences, those are checkpoints. They're reminders that you don't get to script everything. You only get to respond. And that response, that choice, is where your strength lives. Fate will move with or without you. The question is whether you'll fight the tide or learn how to swim in it. Fate doesn't wait for permission because it doesn't need it. It was set in motion long before you understood it. You can hate it, you can curse it, but the truth is, it's the one thing that never lies. It's honest. Brutal, yes, but honest. It takes what doesn't belong and gives what you didn't expect. It destroys to rebuild. It breaks to awaken. And no matter how much you resist, you'll always end up right where you were meant to be. Because fate doesn't ask for your approval. It just shows you who you really are when you've got nothing left to hide behind. Resistance only fuels the inevitable. The more you fight what's coming, the harder it hits when it arrives. That's the cruel part about life. You think you're protecting yourself by pushing back, by controlling every little thing, but all you're really doing is feeding the storm. The energy you spend resisting could have been used surviving. But no, people would rather fight the current, scream at the sky, pretend they're stronger than what's already written. They wear themselves out trying to stop something that was never meant to be stopped. People don't realize that the universe doesn't care about your comfort. It doesn't care about what you think is fair. It moves with purpose, and your resistance is just friction against its rhythm. The harder you pull away, the more it tightens its grip. That's why some people live their whole lives angry at fate, angry at God, angry at themselves, because they can't accept that they don't get to control everything. They confuse control with strength. But strength isn't about controlling life. It's about moving through it. The river doesn't stop for a rock. It just flows around it, smooth, unstoppable, patient. Resistance is fear pretending to be courage. It's pride disguised as protection. You tell yourself you're fighting for your freedom, but deep down, you're just scared of change. You're scared that if you stop fighting, you'll lose yourself. But the truth is, you already lost yourself the moment you started resisting what was meant for you. Because when something's inevitable, it's not there to destroy you. It's there to transform you. The pain isn't punishment, it's preparation. The fall isn't failure, it's direction. But you can't see that while you're too busy fighting it. The funny thing about resistance is that it gives power to the very thing you're afraid of. The more attention you give it, the more energy it gains. You think you're standing against it, but you're really feeding it. You make it bigger, heavier, louder. You let it rent space in your mind until it owns you. People think they're strong because they refuse to bend. But what they don't understand is that unbending things break. Flexibility is not weakness. It's survival. You can't outstare fate. You can only learn to move with it. You ever watch someone fall apart because life didn't go their way? They cling to their plans, their expectations, their idea of how things should have been. But they cry about what they lost instead of seeing what they're being pushed toward. And while they're busy resisting, life keeps moving. The world doesn't stop for their pain. It just waits until they stop fighting. Because the moment they let go, that's when everything shifts. That's when clarity shows up. That's when peace finally sneaks in. Because peace doesn't come from control. It comes from surrender. Most people think surrender means giving up, but it doesn't. It means understanding that some battles aren't meant to be won. They're meant to be survived. It means realizing that not everything that breaks you is your enemy. Sometimes it's just fate trying to break your ego, your illusions, your attachments. The sooner you stop resisting, the sooner you start learning. You start seeing the pattern in the chaos. You start noticing how every time something falls apart, it's clearing space for something else to grow. That's not coincidence. That's design. Resistance keeps you stuck in the same loop. You keep fighting the same lesson because you refuse to learn it. You keep attracting the same pain because you won't face it. Life will keep repeating itself until you surrender to its rhythm. You can't heal what you keep resisting. You can't move forward while holding on to what's behind you. The irony is, the moment you stop trying to control everything, that's when you finally gain control over yourself. Not over fate, not over outcomes, but over how you move through them. That's real power. You ever notice how the people who look calm in chaos aren't the ones who've had easy lives? They've just learned to stop fighting what they can't change. They've been broken enough times to understand that resistance only makes the fall hurt more. They don't waste time asking, "Why me?" anymore. They ask, "What now?" Because they've realized that everything meant to destroy them ended up shaping them. That's the secret. Resistance creates pain, but surrender creates growth. The world teaches you to fight for control, but no one tells you that some things are supposed to happen, whether you're ready or not. You can't delay the inevitable with denial. You can't stop the storm by closing your eyes. You can only learn to stand in the rain without fear. The more you resist, the more you suffer. The more you accept, the more you see. You realize that maybe everything that broke you was actually guiding you somewhere better. But you'd never know that if you kept fighting. Resistance only fuels the inevitable, because what's meant to be doesn't fade. It finds you. Every time you push it away, it just circles back stronger. You can delay fate, but you can't deny it. The pain you feel isn't life being cruel, it's life being honest. It's saying, stop fighting what's already yours. You can keep pushing, keep running, keep hiding, but in the end, you'll realize something terrifying and beautiful at the same time. You were never supposed to win against it. You were supposed to become because of it. Control is an illusion against destiny. That's the joke people never get. They spend their lives clutching at the wheel, pretending they're steering something that's already mapped out. Every move, every decision, every detour, they think it's all their choice. But deep down, they know something's off. They feel it when things fall apart, no matter how carefully they planned, when what they wanted slips right through their fingers. They call it bad luck, bad timing, unfairness, but it's not. It's just proof that control was never real. It's a story people tell themselves to feel safe in a world that's anything but. People crave control because chaos scares them. They want order, predictability, some kind of guarantee that their effort means something. So they plan, they schedule, they organize their lives like chess games. But destiny doesn't play by their rules. It doesn't care how hard they try to calculate every move. One twist, 1 second, one heartbeat, and everything changes. That's the part that drives them mad. The idea that no matter how much control they think they have, it can all disappear in an instant. Because destiny doesn't ask for consent. It just moves. The illusion of control keeps people asleep. It gives them something to hold on to, something to believe in. It keeps them from facing the truth, that they're not the ones running the show. That something bigger, something deeper, something unseen is pulling the strings. And the moment they sense that, even for a second, they panic. They scramble to grab hold of something solid. Money, relationships, status, power, anything that makes them feel like they're in charge again. But no matter how tight they grip, life always finds a way to remind them who's really in control. It's funny, isn't it? People think surrender means weakness, but it's the only time they ever see things clearly. When they finally stop pretending they're the master of their fate, that's when the fog lifts. Because control blinds you. It keeps you obsessed with the surface. You're too busy trying to fix, plan, avoid, manipulate, to actually understand what's happening beneath. But when you lose that control, when everything falls apart and you're forced to face the chaos, that's when you start to see patterns you never noticed before. That's when you realize it was never random. It was always leading somewhere. You can spend your whole life trying to control the uncontrollable, but all it does is exhaust you. You build plans, backup plans, walls, safety nets, all for a sense of security that never really existed. The truth is, control is just fear dressed up as order. It's a defense mechanism against uncertainty. People think if they can control everything, they can avoid pain. But pain doesn't need permission. It arrives exactly when it needs to. And when it does, all those walls you built, all those plans you made, they crumble like paper. There's a certain madness in realizing that control is an illusion. Some people break from it, others are freed by it. The ones who break keep fighting, keep forcing, keep pretending they can shape fate with sheer will. But the ones who are freed, they stop running. They stop forcing things to happen and start letting things unfold. They learn to move with life instead of against it. That's when everything starts to make sense. Because the more you let go, the more you see that destiny doesn't need your help. It just needs your presence. Control tricks people into believing they can delay what's meant for them or avoid what's destined to hurt them. But destiny isn't something you outrun. It's something you grow into. Every twist, every heartbreak, every failure, it's all part of shaping you into the person who can handle what's coming. You can't fake your way around it. You can't trick it. The harder you try, the more you tighten the chains around yourself. Control isn't freedom. It's a prison made of your own expectations. You ever notice how people lose their minds when things don't go their way? They curse the world, blame others, question everything. That's because their illusion of control just cracked. They thought they were in charge, and suddenly, reality reminded them they never were. It's a brutal kind of honesty. Life doesn't care about your plans. It doesn't pause for your comfort. It moves through you, with or without your permission. And when it takes something from you, it's not punishment. It's realignment. It's shifting you where you were supposed to be all along. The ones who understand that control is an illusion don't stop caring. They just stop clinging. They still work, still dream, still fight. But they don't worship the idea of control. They stop trying to force outcomes and start focusing on intention. They stop demanding certainty and start finding peace in not knowing. Because once you realize that destiny doesn't bend for you, you start bending with it. That's not weakness, it's wisdom. That's not chaos, it's clarity. You begin to understand that control was never the point. The point was to trust what's unfolding, even when it doesn't make sense. Control is the prettiest lie people tell themselves. It's the mask they wear to feel powerful in a world that constantly reminds them how fragile they really are. But once that mask cracks, once they see through it, something changes. They stop trying to hold back the tide. They start walking through it. They stop screaming at the storm and start listening to it. Because when you finally stop pretending you're the one in control, that's when you realize you were never meant to be the driver. You were meant to be the witness. Purpose moves through chaos untouched. That's the thing no one understands. Everyone's afraid of the mess, terrified of the noise, of the unpredictable turns that rip their little plans to shreds. But chaos isn't the enemy. It's the path. It's the place where real purpose hides, where truth breathes. People think they lose themselves when things fall apart. But maybe that's when they finally come alive, because purpose doesn't need peace to exist. It doesn't need order or comfort. It survives the wreckage. It moves right through the destruction, like smoke through broken glass. You ever notice how everyone wants clarity before they act? They want the plan, the guarantee, the promise that everything will make sense. They think purpose only lives in calm waters. But life doesn't work that way. The calm is where you rest, not where you're built. The storm, that's where the shaping happens. That's where the fire burns away, the lies you told yourself. The chaos doesn't destroy your purpose, it reveals it. Because when everything collapses, when there's nothing left to hide behind, what stays? That's who you really are. People waste their lives trying to avoid the chaos. They build routines, safety nets, false peace. They think that if they keep everything neat and quiet, they'll find meaning. But meaning doesn't grow in quiet. It grows in the noise. It's born in the moments you think you can't handle, in the nights you wish would just end. Because purpose doesn't show up with an invitation. It crashes in unannounced, right when you think you've lost everything. You don't find it by staying comfortable. You find it by surviving what should have broken you. Chaos has a strange way of stripping people bare. It takes away the things they thought they needed. The plans, the labels, the control, and leaves them face to face with what's real. And that's when purpose whispers. Not when you're ready, but when you're raw. That's when you realize it was never about the plan working out. It was about who you became when it didn't. The mess, the failure, the heartbreak. They weren't distractions from your purpose. They were directions toward it. Chaos doesn't block the path. It is the path. Everyone thinks purpose is supposed to be this clear, shining thing that guides you easily. But real purpose is stubborn. It doesn't show itself until you've bled for it, until you've lost enough to understand its worth. It waits in the shadows of confusion, in the middle of disasters that don't make sense. And when you're in that place, when you're angry, broken, screaming at the sky, that's when it starts moving, quietly, patiently, through the chaos. You can't see it, but it's there, aligning the wreckage, stitching together something you'll only understand later. People fear chaos because it makes them feel powerless. They think if they're not in control, they're lost. But maybe that's the point. Maybe you have to lose control to find direction. Because as long as you think you're steering, you'll never notice the hand guiding you through it. Purpose doesn't shout. It doesn't fight for your attention. It just keeps moving through the noise, waiting for you to stop panicking long enough to see it. The chaos isn't there to destroy you. It's there to clear the path of everything that isn't real. You can tell a lot about a person by how they handle chaos. Some crumble, some hide, some fight it like it's a curse. But the ones who understand, they lean in. They let it tear down what no longer serves them. They stop trying to control the fire and start learning from it. Because they've realized that chaos doesn't come to punish. It comes to purify. It doesn't come to end your story. It comes to rewrite it. The noise, the confusion, the loss, it all starts to make sense once you realize that purpose was never in danger. It was just waiting for you to stop pretending you knew better. The most beautiful part about chaos is that it has direction, even when it looks like madness. Every shattered plan, every broken dream, every unexpected twist, it's all movement. It's all momentum. Purpose doesn't need a straight line. It thrives in curves, in contradictions, in the parts of life that don't fit neatly into explanations. The things that look like accidents are often alignments in disguise. The pain that feels pointless often carries the lesson you couldn't have learned any other way. You can try to protect yourself from the chaos, but all you're doing is delaying your purpose. The storms you avoid are the same ones that would have shaped you. The losses you run from are the same ones that would have freed you. You think you're keeping yourself safe, but you're really keeping yourself stuck. Because purpose isn't found in safety, it's found in the ruins. When you've lost everything familiar, that's when you finally see what was real all along. Chaos doesn't touch purpose. It tests it, it sharpens it. It forces it to become undeniable. And maybe that's the truth people spend their whole lives trying not to face. That the chaos they curse is the very thing carrying them where they were meant to go. That purpose doesn't crumble when life falls apart. It stands in the middle of it, untouched, waiting for you to stop fighting and start seeing. Because no matter how loud the storm gets, purpose never loses its way. It doesn't flinch. It doesn't fade. It moves right through the fire, calm, certain, unstoppable. What's meant will find its way. People love to talk about timing, about luck, about how they missed their chance, or how the world wasn't fair. They make excuses, they chase,